Welcome back to the Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset podcast with me, Johnny Pardo. Today, I welcome back a former guest and someone I've worked closely with, Liam, to the show. And Liam and I are going to be discussing many different topics, including breaking through, personal growth, resilience, and much, much more. So first of all, welcome back to the show, Liam.
Hey Johnny, thanks for having me again. I'm like, when you asked me to come back on, I was like super pumped. I'm like, yeah, I'm excited. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. No, privileged to have you back on. And for all of us, we're all everything's always changing. But I know since we last talked, you've had a number of changes in your life, and now you're doing different things, and there's been a whole growth journey like myself. So looking forward to today's conversation. So we'll dive in a moment. I'll just give a very quick introduction to Liam. So Liam is helping entrepreneurial men 30 years old and over with their business and life using his experience and tools. So Liam, tell us a little bit about what's got you into focusing on this area and maybe a few highlights about what you're doing at the moment in this work.
Well, I mean, there's so much to this, to be honest, and there's so much of a story to kind of tell you as to why I've kind of ended up in this. But I've actually relaunched a business called the Breakthrough Academy, which is for, like you say, 30 plus entrepreneurial men. And this is something that I'd done in the past. So it's kind of like a relaunch, but going through what I've been through over the last 4, 5, 6 years, the program has dramatically changed and it's not so different, but it actually, for me, it's actually got a lot better. It actually provides entrepreneurial men with exactly what they need to move forward. So really it's, probably the best place to start is talking about Tony Robbins. When Tony Robbins talks about success, he says 80% of it is psychology and 20% strategy, right? Now, I just meet so many male entrepreneurs who get to 30, 35, 40, and sometimes they're just not happy with where they're at, right? They think, all right, I'm 30 now, I'm 35 now, and I still haven't got where I want to in life. I still haven't hit the goals that I had when I was 25, right? Or 20, right? I'm still getting in my own way. I'm still getting stuck. I'm procrastinating. I'm not showing up. I stop and start. I get, shiny object syndrome, and they're not focused. They're not disciplined. They're not organized. So it's helping that kind of man actually just get on track. But the reason I talk about Tony is because what I help guys with is mainly mindset's a bit of a average word, but I would say I help them more emotionally than anything. A lot of the sticking points that come up in business is usually something to do emotionally, right? Sales, for example, if you are worried about increasing prices or asking for money, it's usually a story that gathered up as a child somewhere or through your experiences that is then obviously stopping you from taking the right action, and you kind of give into the fear or whatever, right? So a lot of my work is actually undoing a lot of this kind of stuff, right? But also I've been through some heavy trauma in my life, and having to work through that myself, or come to see the power of working through my trauma, and actually turning it into my purpose and my power and my strength. This is the main message for me, right? Helping guys turn their kind of pain into power, if you like, and helping them kind of evolve those traumas and move past them and, alleviate them so they can, and obviously once they do that, they're freer, they've got more energy, they've got more clarity, they've got more space, and then obviously they're able to go and execute more in their business, and everything becomes a lot easier. And that's definitely what I've found anyway.
Oh, it's some great work that it's definitely needed, and I've certainly been there myself as kind of well, I put myself in that category, obviously, as a 31-year-old entrepreneur, but in the past, has definitely been there when you sometimes got the strategy, right? There's not a shortage of information in the world, but sometimes there's just something like holding you back, and you don't know what it is. So I love the way you talked about Tony talking about the 80% psychology before the 20% strategy. So really glad you touched on that one. So one thing I wanted to kind of touch on quite early on in this is a lot of us, and especially guys, as we're kind of labeled as doing this, resist our emotions. We're like, oh, I don't want to feel negative, so I'm going to push it away. Is this something that you've experienced perhaps in the past, of resisting emotions and not allowing yourself to feel negative ones? And is it something you experience a lot in your work at the moment with people resisting those emotions?
Yes and yes, absolutely. I think the biggest thing for me is when, I probably mentioned this on the previous podcast, I lost my dad to a motorcycle accident at 21 in 2008. And I mean, it was the first time that I'd ever experienced that kind of trauma in my life. It was a complete shock. It absolutely knocked me for six. And the only way that I could deal with it at the time, obviously I was very young, I was 21, so I didn't really know any better, was to kind of put my head into work. And I used that as a distraction. I just worked. And yes, I got some really great success but the rest of my life fell to pieces, especially my relationships fell to pieces. Because to be quite honest with you, I was completely cut off emotionally. I had like these blinkers on, nothing else mattered apart from success and making money. And really what I found out was, eventually about 7 years later, after I came across, just by a random meeting, came across someone who really helped me in Canada while I was when I was a platinum partner with Tony Robbins. I was at an event in Canada, and I met this guy there, and I realized that I didn't feel like a worthy son, or I didn't feel good enough. I didn't know if my dad was proud of me. I didn't know if my dad loved me. I know that probably sounds strange to some people. Like, of course your parent loves you, but I really didn't think that. I thought he preferred my brother and sister to me. He never says that he's proud of me. He never, like, my dad was really shut off emotionally, right? And I really needed that as a kid. So I had unanswered questions. So when my dad died, like, this wasn't conscious. I was like, at the time, I was like, I need to go and prove that I'm a worthy son. I need to be good enough. So what can I do? Okay, I'll build a business and be really successful, make loads of money. And that's exactly what I did. But then I got there like 7 years later, and I just felt even more empty. And I was just confused, because I've done everything that XYZ person's told me to do, get the money, get the nice apartment, get the car, go on holiday, all the stuff. I had all the stuff, but I was just completely empty. And this guy helped me. And then as soon as he unblocked, like, I was disconnected emotionally. That's what it was, right? I disconnected myself, and he kind of helped me reconnect to that. And boom, all this emotion came out. I mean, I was crying on and off for 3 days, and so much clarity came into my life, and I felt like a completely different person. It was still the most profound moment of my life. It was like a 15-minute conversation. A lot of it was to do around forgiveness of myself, forgiveness of my dad. And once I did that, I mean, I just got so much more clarity on what I wanted to do, my purpose, where I was going, so much so the business I had was a gym. I actually went home and sold the gym, because I was like, no, this is not me anymore. Like, I'm moving on. And then I kind of moved into helping guys emotionally, because it's been so profound what happened in my life. So, and I've just been working on this is since 2015. And since 2015, I've just worked heavily on myself emotionally, and being able to be as open as this, be expressive, you know, and talk about my feelings. You know, it's not common. It's not uncommon for me to cry anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, and I think as coaches, you know, the more we work on ourselves, the more we can see stuff in other people, and that, you know, that if you go and watch my testimonials, you know, people say like, oh, Liam's just got this, you know, profound effect to be able to like go into someone and just find out what's really blocking them, what's really stopping them. And I believe that's the kind of superpower that I've been gifted with, and that's really what I do. I just able to kind of get a snapshot of someone's life very quickly, and kind of find out, okay, this is what's, I feel like this is what's really going on right now. So yeah, like, I mean, a lot of the men that I come across, you know, they're having struggles in their business. You know, a lot of time it's got nothing to do with business. It really hasn't. You know, it's got something else to do with something that they put off a long time ago and not dealt with it. Like it happened yesterday on a coaching call. I mean, yeah, it was just, you know, there was one of my clients who was trying to use money, success, external validation to sort something internal out, and that was never going to work. And we related it back to his 18-year-old self with his parents, and they didn't provide exactly what he needed. So he was kind of hell-bent on build a business and make money so he could provide financially for his child and his family, but what he actually needed to provide, he was already doing. Right. And when he realized that, it was just a profound moment for him. And because again, he had the blinkers on, and him and his partner were having problems in their relationship. I mean, and his parents split up. So I told him that you're recreating exactly what you don't want right now. And I mean, there's more to that story, but yeah, it's just common in the guys that I tend to attract into what I do.
Sort of like using external world to heal. I like what you said about using like that external validation, the external world to try and fix the internal. And what you're doing is actually trying to get down to that root core, or kind of the root core, to address that, to make more of a change, or get them out of those blocks that get in the way.
Yeah. You know, a lot, you know, I hear a lot of people say like, like I use my pain in order to take action, right? And although, yeah, that's great, okay, it does help you, because I did it for 7 years and built a really big business, but actually it killed a lot of the rest of my life, right? It was controlling me, right? It had control of me. I could never switch off, never, right? I was always working. I mean, up at 6, finish at 10 p.m. every day. I was relentless. And although that's great for, you know, if you want to make money, okay, but, you know, but you're just going to end up sacrificing the rest of your life, and it's just not worth it. But what I want to get across is that you can have it all, right? You can have it all. There is an easier way. Because once I dealt with myself and, you know, help these other guys, you know, and they find something, they connect with something more purposeful. It's, you know, they feel lighter, they've got more clarity, they've got more focus. You know, everything starts to flow a little bit easier. It's not like you're swimming against the tide all the time, or trying to put out multiple fires. You know, it's just a grind otherwise, right? So that's what I've experienced. And I find the more I work on my emotional side, the more success, the more clients come to me, the more money I make. Like it just goes hand in hand, right? It really, really does. Because I just show up better, people connect with me more, you know, it just makes sense, you know?
Yeah, no, I love that. And actually it made me think of something else I wanted to touch on. Like I've kind of heard this from people like Peter Sage and Tony Robbins and various people, but like we go to the physical gym, right, to keep fit and make sure our health's up, obviously alongside a good nutritional plan as well. A lot of us don't do the emotional training we need to be able to cope with life. So would you say, this may sound like an obvious question, but it's something that's really overlooked, would you say every single day you're training your emotions?
Absolutely. I mean, well, number one, I have to, because, you know, I have to lead these men in the way, you know, I'm held accountable because I'm here to help these men do the same thing. Right. And, you know, we just live in a world where it's all about the external, isn't it? You know, and I mean, male suicide is on the rise, and that is on the rise for a reason. Is because men struggle internally if their external is not matching up to where they expect it to be, right? You know, and it's a real problem. So yeah, like I really try and express myself fully every single day. Don't get me wrong, I still get things wrong. I'm not going to make out that I'm perfect, so absolutely not. But you know, I do my very best to lead from the front. You know, like when I'm on coaching calls with clients, you know, when I start talking, sometimes I'll just get emotional, right? And I'm not going to push that down, right? Because I have to put on a front because I'm leading this program and I'm the coach and No. Like, that would be defeating the whole message that I'm trying to get out, you know? So like you see it on you'll see it on my Instagram stuff, you know, and YouTube, like, you know, there's bits where I'm crying, you know, and it's just, when you can be yourself, right? When who you are on the inside is matching up to who you're putting out on camera, there's nothing more powerful than that. I don't think, you know, you can really just show up as who you are, you know, and there's so much power in that, you know, and it just makes you feel so free.
The energy, it's natural energy as well. The natural energy you can see, and you can see it in your videos as well.
Yeah, it's not like so
not
many
fake energy.
I find men are forcing it, or entrepreneurs in general, right, are just trying to force stuff all the time. Like, you know, oh, I should do content. What should I do? Like, you know, the more you work on yourself emotionally, the more things can flow, like energy can flow within you. And, you know, videos just come out. Like, I'm creating so much content at the moment because things are just flowing, you know. I can't speak highly enough of dealing with your past properly, you know, and healing those wounds that we have as men. You know, it can really just changes your life, you know. And they don't hinder you anymore. Once you do deal with them properly, they don't hinder you anymore. They actually give you strength, you know, they give you power, they give you purpose, right? And, you know, you just show up as you, like, this is me, these are my faults, this is who I am as a human being. And that's what people relate to, you know. I'm just really trying to lead from the front and just not be shiny. You know, people try and give off this shiny version of themselves, and I'm like, the world doesn't need that anymore. The world just needs real people speaking truth.
Yeah,
their truth. You know.
Yeah, got enough of. Yeah, and it's kind of when we start following other people, we start copying other people, and it's not our true self. So I'm glad you're, you know, leading by example in this case, and it's a great point in terms of, yeah, just that energy and being able to show up. There's no other better connection to yourself in that sense as well. So particularly for guys, it's quite hard to kind of, like, maybe if you're a guy and you're like, oh, you've heard this or you've seen something else, and you're like, oh, I want to start working on my emotions a little bit more and start uncovering some of this stuff. You know, I've been stuck in the external world for so long. You were talking about the power of journaling the other day. I enjoyed that video that I watched of yours, another great video. Could you tell us a little bit about how journaling, just for the sake of this podcast, how journaling's been effective to you?
Yeah. it's something that gets thrown about a lot, isn't it, in the self-development world? Journal this, journal that, and it's something that I did on and off. So I'd do a few weeks, and then, but what I decided was, right, I'm going to do this consistently, as every day, right? I'm going to do it every day. And up to this point, I've done 46 days straight. Okay. And I'll be honest with you, which is really good for me. A lot of what I do in the Breakthrough Academy is keeping guys consistent, right? You know, setting up a vision for their life, putting them down into habits, and then them executing those habits every single day, and they're held accountable in the group, right? So obviously, you know, since developing this program, you know, it's helped me, you know, it's helped me be more consistent with what I'm doing, right? Selfishly helped me, which is great. But yeah, like journaling is profound. It's really profound. Now, as men, you know, we struggle to articulate, well, you know, some men can struggle to articulate themselves verbally, right? Emotionally. So this is me, especially in my 20s. But what I found really helpful was writing my feelings down instead. Okay, because I'm not having to do it verbally. I'm not having to say it to someone, right? This is just for me, right? And, you know, this is, like I say, this is something that I've done in the past, but also done very recently and have been doing very consistently. And I mean, it's just enabled me to get stuff out of my head, get it onto paper, and see things for what they really are. It really helps you empty space of what's going on inside of you. And you know, I've personally been through a very recent thing that has happened. I can't remember when the first podcast was that we spoke.
I think it was about, maybe it was about May last year, potentially.
Right. Okay. So May last year. So what I probably didn't talk about at the time, or I'm not sure if I did or not, is that at that time my partner was going through breast cancer, and she got diagnosed in 2017, and I mean, May last year, yeah, I'm just going to speak the truth here. She was looking the worst she'd ever looked. It was her birthday in May. I'll still never forget it. And very sadly, she passed in September, just gone. And, you know, I mean, having to deal with that for 4 years, watching her deteriorate over that time was the worst thing that I've ever been through, hands down. And when she passed in September, you know, I did not deal with it at all. You know, you talking about not dealing with emotional issues, I did exactly that. I just wasn't ready to even think about dealing with those. But I recently but a year went on, and I thought, I need to do something, right? I need to do something. I need to shift this energy, because I felt so heavy. You know, I felt so heavy, and I'd been putting off dealing with it. So I went to an event which basically helps you with this stuff, right? Get it out. And I was a bit like, not kind of looking forward to dealing with it, to be honest, as you can imagine. And yeah, I mean, there was a lot to come out. And one of the things that I had to do was obviously journal every day. And one thing that I started doing just out of the blue was I started writing poems. You know, I've never done that before, but I found it was the only way that I could express what had happened, you know, and it gave it so much meaning. And I just found the more that I was writing these poems, that the more, you know, it was part of the healing process that I was going through at this event. And it was just so good. But yeah, you know, but journaling in general, I mean, the better you get at just expressing yourself on paper every day, the more you'll kind of get off your chest. Again, it just helps you get clarity and focus, and, you know, just because when you're all up in your head emotionally, like it's heavy, it's hard, it's, you know, things become very, very difficult. you know, and it's just a tool that can be used to, you know, really help you move forward, you know, and it helps you practice expressing yourself, you know.
No, thank you for sharing that and where you're at. So appreciate that. And yeah, that some of the challenges you've gone through and being able to go to communities, being able to journal has really helped you, and just being able to feel those emotions sounds like they've been really, really key. And it's amazing to see you're doing the same for other guys now, and getting them. And one kind of final question I wanted to touch on was, obviously it's to do with you've been in communities like that. You just mentioned you're running a community. How important for you has the power of community been through your journey?
As a man, I did not know that I had been missing something all of my life, and that was a community of other men who were willing to be vulnerable, be open, share. You know, in society, most of the time, you know, if we have male friends, you know, it's surface level stuff. It never goes deep, right? But when I went to this event not long ago, I got to know people on such a level way better than probably some of my closest male friends that I have in day-to-day life, right? And there's just so much power when you get a group of guys together and you just share, you're vulnerable with one another, you know, you support one another. And being with other grounded men just helped me so much. You know, my dad wasn't around so much when I was a kid. My parents split up. I didn't ever really have that proper male figure in my life to guide me, to nurture me, to tell me how this is the way to be a man. I had to kind of figure it out on my own, you know. And honestly, for the first time in my life, I actually felt connected to other men. I felt accepted by other men. And I just realized I'd been longing and missing that my entire life, you know. And as soon as I come away from that event, I was like, I've got to relaunch the Breakthrough Academy and, you know, tell these stories, you know. And I'm just on a mission right now. I'm just on a mission, you know, and I think you can see that in my content, you know. I'm just on a mission to help guys, you know, because a lot of them are stuck and they're trying to fix it with money and success and business, when usually a lot of the time it's got nothing to do with that, you know. And it's hard when you're on your own. You've got no one to talk to. Like when I went through 4 years of dealing with my partner with cancer, I had no one to talk to, right? And I mean, I was a mess. I was an absolute mess, you know. And then meeting these guys was that enabled me to speak about this. I mean, it transformed me. You know. And I think you can hear the energy in my voice when I'm talking. You know, there's some real, you know, there's real urgency, you know, real intention with what I'm saying, and that's how it feels, you know. Yeah, I hope that makes sense.
No, thanks, Liam. Appreciate that. So, really valued all your shares, all your openness, and all the pointers you've given us today. So, really pleased to have you back on the show. So, where can people find you if they want to find out a little bit more about your work? Just talking about community.
Okay, best two places. I'm only on Instagram and YouTube right now, and I've got a website. So my Instagram is instagram.com/Liam Mark Britton. So LiamMarkBritton. If you search Liam Mark Britton in YouTube, you'll find my channel, or go to www.liammarkbritton.com.
Brilliant, cool. And there's plenty of great content you're pumping out there. So definitely be sure to check it out, and we'll link those in the notes. So once again, Liam, a big thank you for coming on the show today.
And thank you for having me. And I just want to say one thing. If there's any men out there who have resonated what I'm saying, reach out to me and just send me a message. Like, I want to tell you guys that I'm here for you if you need me, because I didn't have that in those 4 years that I had to go through. And I just want to be that outlet for any guys that are listening.
Yes, please do. Please absolutely reach out to Liam, and we'll link all his profiles up so you can contact him in the show notes as well. So yeah, thanks again, Liam. Appreciate you being on. So we'll wrap up there for today. And remember, work on your self-confidence every single day.